Hello my friends, my name is Rich and welcome to Greatest Rock and Metal. On Greatest Rock and Metal I talk about what are for me the greatest bands, albums, gigs that I have experienced in my many years of following rock and metal music. If you enjoy what you see, press the red button please to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future episodes of Greatest Rock and Metal. So today, this is going to be the first time that I have ranked some albums by an artist. I always myself enjoy watching videos or listening to people talk about their selection of albums and how they place them in order, whether it's albums, songs, gigs. It's always fascinating to hear somebody else's opinion. And on this episode I am going to be ranking the solo albums, the studio solo albums of the guitarist Mr. Ace Frehley. Now, Ace Frehley, for those of you who don't know, which won't be many even watching this I guess, was the original guitarist in the band Kiss, and he first left the band in 1982. I say first left because he rejoined them again for a reunion tour of the original members in 1996. But unfortunately, the reacquaintance did not last very long, and by 2002, he was back solo again. Ace Frehley has had quite a career and quite an interesting life, and he's suffered most of his life through addiction to drugs and alcohol. And that's the main reason why he's had such short tenures with the band Kiss. And in fact, most of his life he's been out of Kiss rather than in it, even though he is most well known for being a member of that legendary New York band. And that's where Ace Frehley was born and raised, in the Bronx in New York City, something he writes lyrically about many times throughout his albums, and in fact lyrical themes amongst most of Frehley's solo albums. A lot of his songs center around his battles in life, his experiences of life, and where he lives and what he has done in his life. So without further ado, let's take a look at the rankings of the studio albums for Ace Frehley. He has had a total of, let me just check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 studio albums. Sorry, I had to check, I couldn't remember. A total of 9 studio albums and various compilations and live albums as well. And at number 9 on my list is this album. Now you'll see the title is Frehley's Comet, because the first band that Frehley put together after he left Kiss for the first time, he titled the band Frehley's Comet, and they ended up doing 2 albums together. All his future solo albums have been titled Ace Frehley and not with members of the band. So this Frehley's Comet album is Second Sighting, and this was recorded at a time when Ace was struggling again with his addictions, and it's not a great album. A lot of the songs and the vocals were handled by band members rather than by Ace himself. Songwriting, I should say, and vocals were handled by band members rather than by Ace himself. And those of you who follow Ace Frehley probably feel like me, that when you buy an Ace Frehley solo album, you want him to really be featuring the most on the albums. Of course, he still contributes vocals to some tracks and still writes some tracks, and of course he plays his lead guitar throughout. What I'm going to do in the rankings, I'm going to pick a couple of songs from each album that I would recommend. And the tracks I would recommend will be the first track, Insane, and another track, Juvenile Delinquent. Both tracks feature great guitar playing from Frehley and also vocals handled by himself. And both of those tracks are in the typical Ace Frehley wheelhouse for the type of songs that he likes to write. Insane especially is a good track from this album. So, not a favourite of mine, ranks at the bottom, and tends to be the same for many fans of Ace Frehley. In fact, it's not a highly rated album. The next album I would choose at number 8 is this one. This is his current album, and this one is titled Origins Volume 2. Now, the idea behind Origins was to play songs that were part of his origins, were part of his initial musical history. So they're all cover songs, and they're all songs that excuse me, that have had an influence on Ace and the way he plays, or just by bands and songs that he likes. Now there are loads and loads of vinyl variations of this new album. What I have here is what is called the black / gold. Mine is more of a goldy type of colour, and it's a good album. Okay, and you'll notice I said Origins Volume 2. That is because there is, of course, an Origins Volume 1, which is the same concept, taking cover songs that he most enjoyed. And let me just have a look. Sorry about that. Let me just grab the cover. Okay. Beautiful artwork on this, by the way. Very much a futuristic theme on the album artwork. And the two tracks that I would choose from this album was only released last year, and I would say that my favourite tracks on this are Space Tracking, which is a Deep Purple track, and I like the way that Ace plays with the lyrics a little bit on this track, Space Ace Tracking. Again, those of you who know your history will know that Ace Frehley's always been known as the spaceman. For obvious reasons, he always seems a little bit spaced out. And the next track that I would choose as one of my favourites is a track that I didn't know of before. Now, one of the interesting things about Origins series is it's introduced me to some classic rock and metal tracks as well. Some of the 70s stuff and even 60s stuff that I wasn't that aware of. And the track here that is my second choice is a track called Politician, which I like because I think the lyrics are quite clever in it. Ace does a good job with the track. I've gone and listened to the original version as well. I actually prefer Ace's version, maybe because it's the one I heard first. I don't know about that. And I think it's very current. Politics has seemed to dominate the world in the last couple of years, and Politician is certainly a great summary of what many of us feel about politicians. So listen to it yourself and find out what I mean by that. Okay, then we go to 2018, the album that preceded Origins Volume 2. This album is titled Spaceman. Again, you're getting the theme here about the space, yeah? And my opinion on this album, I rank it just above Origins Volume 2 because it's original material, and I do prefer albums of original material rather than cover songs. Most of the time, if I want to listen to cover songs, I'll go back and listen to the original version, because I don't think bands are particularly great at doing cover songs unless their name is Metallica, who seem to be brilliant at covering other people's songs. The Spaceman album, this is another coloured vinyl edition, and this one is a silver vinyl. Again, I believe there are other variations of this out there. Now, like I said, this one ranks a little bit above the Origins Volume 2 for me, but what I have to say about this album is, again, it's not particularly one of Ace's strongest albums, and it has the feeling of being almost a little bit rushed, and also it only clocks in at about 35, 36, 37 minutes long. So I think he was struggling for material a bit with this one. It's got some good tracks on it, and to be honest, I do prefer it more now than when I first listened to it. I've given it repeated listenings recently, and it has grown on me. So anyone who does have this already, I would recommend you, if you feel the same way, go back and have a listen again. Couple of tracks that I would choose to recommend listening on this one. The opening track, Without You I'm Nothing, which was co-written by Gene Simmons of Kiss, and he also plays bass on this. And then the next track, Rockin' with the Boys, I also think is a good track as well. Again, all the tracks I've chosen fit in what I call typical Ace Frehley full-on rock sing-along type song, which is almost pop rock to a certain extent, which he's very, very good at doing, with some blistering guitar solos as well. Moving up the list, which one are we on to now? I think this is number 6 in my ranking. Origins Volume 1. Yet another coloured vinyl version. Let's have a look at what colour we got here. Here we have like a marbled blue effect. In fact, actually, I think that one's the most good-looking one of the coloured vinyls we have seen so far. I really like this album. Now we're getting into the albums that I have no qualms about saying are good albums. Even though, once again, it's cover songs, and I've just sprouted about how much I prefer original material, I think the reason why I really enjoy this album so much is because of the choice of cover songs that are on it. And here, my favourite 2 tracks I would choose would be Parasite, which is a cover of an old Kiss song, which was actually written by Ace and first appeared on their Hotter Than Hell album a long, long time ago now. And on this track, it actually features guitar playing by another famous Kiss fan and famous guitarist, a man called John Five, who plays for in the Rob Zombie band, and he has his own solo band as well. Played with Marilyn Manson for a little while and with Dave Lee Roth for a little while. Great track, well covered by Ace, and the first time that Ace has sung his own song on record. For Parasite, I mean, that particular song. And then the next track I would pick, it's actually another Kiss song. And in fact, it may be one of the reasons why I prefer Volume 1 over Volume 2, is because there's actually 3 Kiss songs on here, and also there's another song actually written by Frehley, but features Paul Stanley of Kiss on vocals. So Volume 1 was very heavily Kiss influenced. But the second track I choose is the Kiss track Rock and Roll Hell. And what's interesting about this is that this track is taken from an album that Ace Frehley did not play guitar on, but did appear on the cover on for Kiss, the Creatures of the Night album. This was at the time when Ace was kind of leaving or had actually already left the band. And it's interesting that he should pick this particular track, written by Gene Simmons, and it's a great song, and Ace does a great version of it, Rock and Roll Hell. Okay, that was released in, looking at his notes, 2014. That one was released. Then we go on to number 5 on the list. Space Invader. Is it number 5? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Number 5. Very well rehearsed, this, isn't it? Number 5 on the list, Space Invader. Before I talk about Space Invader, give me a little bit of a break. Let's have a look at rock t-shirts by the sea. Hope you enjoyed that. So, 2014 Space Invader album. Yet another colored vinyl version. This one clear vinyl. So, not actually color, because it's just clear. So, not quite colored vinyl. Anyway, artwork. Brilliant artwork on this, and interesting to know for you Kiss fans, the artist for this was Ken Kelly, who also did the artwork for the famous Destroyer and Love Gun albums by Kiss. There's a little sticker there. Inside, space theme again. The tracks that I would choose here: the opening track, Space Invader. Brilliant, typical Ace Frehley type of song. Space theme, of course, and great chorus to it. But not as good a chorus as the next track I would choose, which is Gimme a Feeling. You give me a feeling. Great second track on this album. And it was a very successful album for Ace. It actually charted at number 9 in the American Billboard charts, which was the highest ranking any of the Kiss members had ever achieved for a solo album. And yeah, great album. Would recommend this, of course. Okay, let's put that down there. The 4th album I would choose, ranked at number 4, is Anomaly. Now, what's interesting about this album was released in 2009, and this was kind of like the comeback album for Ace. It was his first solo album in about 20 years, and also his first solo album since he had left Kiss again. And it's a very, very strong album. Of course it is. That's why I've ranked it 4th. Colored vinyl version again. What do we have here this time? We have yellow. Okay, yellow, solid yellow, mustardy type yellow. And what's also fascinating about the year of release here is that 2009 was also the first time that Kiss had released another studio album since their reunion album they'd done with Ace, Psycho Circus, way back in 2003, maybe not, or 2000. I can't remember, it doesn't matter, not important, we're talking about Ace, not Kiss. So, Anomaly album, very, very good album, very, very good album, lots of great tracks on this. My favourites being the first track, Foxy and Free, which was actually originally written along with Sebastian Bach of Skid Row fame. But as Sebastian writes in his book, he was very, very upset. He wrote this song with Ace, his childhood hero, and when he saw the album and heard the song, he's like, I know that song, I wrote it with Ace. And he looked at the credits and he hadn't been credited. This is a 10th anniversary reissue of the album, and Sebastian finally gets his day in the sun because the original version he wrote with Ace is also included on the album. That's titled Hard For Me. Same song, different lyrics. I think you can probably work out why Ace changed the lyrics. The next track I would choose is Pain in the Neck. You're a pain in the neck. Pain in the neck. Great song, great song, and great lyrical theme on that one, for sure. Wait, let's have a bit of a break again. Before we look at album number 3, let's see album number 3 in Rock Albums by the Sea. "1989, the album Trouble Walking," and this is when it was the follow-up to the Second Sighting album, and this is when we see the Ace Frehley name being back prominent on the cover, and the Frehley's Comet has now been dropped. There's still a couple of the band members from Frehley's Comet playing on this album, one of whom, the legendary drummer Anton Fig, who is a recurring theme in the Ace Frehley career. Anton, a brilliant, brilliant drummer. And this is a great album. This is a recent Record Store Day reissue of this album. Again in coloured vinyl, and again this time we have a weird but wonderful yellow and orange coloured vinyl to replicate the colours on the Ace Frehley logo. Trouble Walking is a very good album, and what's so good about it is that after what had been a pretty much panned, dire second album in that Second Sighting album, second album for Frehley's Comet, I should say, Trouble Walking was very much an Ace album. We're back to having most of the songs written by Ace and all of them sung by Ace. And there's some great songs on this album. The two that I would choose as my favourites are the opening track, Shot Full of Rock, great fast opener to get you in the mood, and also the track Trouble Walking, mainly because I love the lyrics to Trouble Walking. Again, a very autobiographical song lyrically for Ace. I am trouble walking, I am every mother's nightmare. Brilliant, I love that song, very good song. Okay, we are getting down to the final two. Number 2 in my ranking of Ace Frehley solo albums is Frehley's Comet from 1987. This was the first solo album he did after leaving Kiss for the first time. It's yet another, this is a re-released version in coloured vinyl again, and this time we have marble blue, very nice marble blue to match the album cover. Slip that back in there a minute. And Frehley's Comet, this is very much a band album, but a much better band album than the follow-up, Second Sighting. One, because there is a lot more Ace on this album. And there's the band there, looking very 80s. And one of the downsides to this album is that it still sounds very 80s. It's got that 80s sound with a bit of keyboard flourishes throughout many of the songs. But why do I rank it so high? Well, it's the quality of the songs. And even though Ace doesn't sing on all of the songs, the songs on this album are very, very consistently of high quality. Something that can't actually be said for the Ace discography. And were I to do an overall summary, which should be at the end, but I'm going to do it now, an overall summary of the Ace Frehley discography is that it's a discography that is full of great songs, but not full of great albums. And in fact, although there are a selection of good albums, and I'm putting this in at the top of the pile of the good albums, there's one great one to come. Top of the pile of the good albums, there's a real lack of great albums in his discography, but a lot of great songs. And there's a lot of the great songs that are on this album. And if I had to choose my top 2, I would pick the opening track, Rock Soldiers. And well-constructed song, good chorus again for Rock Soldiers, but the real top track on this album that I really love is actually a track that was co-written with Eric Carr, who was the drummer in Kiss for a period of time. Rest in peace, Eric, who is no longer with us. And the song is Breakout. And it does feature some great drumming from Anton Fig on this track. And what's interesting about the Breakout track is that Kiss actually restructured it into an instrumental for their Revenge album as a tribute to Eric Carr after he'd passed, and they called it Car Jam. It's a great song, Breakout, and one of my favourite, if not my number 1 favourite Ace Frehley song. So that brings us to the final one, the one at the top. And any of you who are Ace Frehley fans out there will not be surprised by which is the number 1 Ace Frehley solo album. And let's take a look at it at Rock Albums by the Sea. So here we have it then, the number 1 Ace Frehley album in his catalogue, simply titled Kiss Ace Frehley. Now it's got the Kiss logo on it, so how's it a solo album? Well, in 1978 Kiss decided that they were going to do all 4 members were going to go and do their own solo albums to give themselves a bit of a break from each other, but they would all be released under the Kiss banner, and all 4 albums were released on the same day. Across all 4 solo albums, you could make an amazing Kiss album. And actually, a lot of the songs would be dominated by tracks taken from this album. This is a great album. It really is. And although we had seen, as Kiss fans, we'd seen a smattering of Ace Frehley written songs across the Kiss catalogue, here we had a chance to see, wow, this guy can really write songs. And actually as well, he's a pretty good singer, which again, we'd not heard Ace sing that much before 1978 on Kiss albums. And this is a reissued version of the Ace Frehley album, which was in a special box set, and it's done in a beautiful blue vinyl, and every track is awesome. It's a great album, this is. It also came with a special posters that have become famous within Kiss circles now, and you'll see there's kind of like a cutout shape here. That's because each album had one of them, a poster for each member, and then you could join them up together as a collage or mural, whatever you want to call it. So the Ace Frehley solo album, very, very difficult to pick 2 tracks alone from this, as there's some great tracks throughout. But for me, it's the first 2 tracks on the album, Rip It Out and Speeding Back to My Baby. Both brilliant rocking songs, great guitar solos, great lyrics, great vocals, and in fact, what's fascinating about this album, it was produced by Eddie Kramer along with Ace, and the sound of the album is superb, and to this day it does not sound dated in any way at all. This is still an album that has a real classic rock sound that will live forever and a day, and is the #1 Ace Frehley album in his discography by far. So there you have it. That is my ranking of Ace Frehley's studio albums. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have, please press the red button to subscribe to see future episodes of Greatest Rock and Metal. And remember, as always, we rock!